Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here for another This and That video. And for those of you who are new, my This and That videos are basically just a weekly to semi-weekly vlog that I do showing you all the different things I have going on for the week, to direct you back to some old how-to videos I have out there if you're interested, to let you know what's coming, and to keep you updated on experiments I have going on, as well as the occasional maybe showing you a little bit how to do a few things. These aren't usually how-tos, but sometimes I will throw a little bit of that in. So today the first thing I want to talk about is canning carrots. No, I'm not going to do a how-to video on how to can, but I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about how I did these. I don't have a whole lot of canning videos out there. If you're new to canning, I recommend that you go check out places like Homestead Tessie and Linda's Pantry and even Deep South Homestead. There's a whole slew of great channels out there that do canning videos. I personally don't do a lot of them, but I don't mind talking a bit about how I do it and show you some pictures. So what's going on is that for years I've been trying to get a good harvest of carrots out of my garden. Now, there's been a couple years I've got a couple of good sized carrots, and a couple of years I've got a good bunch of carrots. But the years I got a bunch of carrots, they were all small carrots, and the years that I got big carrots, I only got a few. So I've never really had a good enough carrot harvest to be able to can up some carrots. They were just best going ahead and eating through them raw, which is good, and they're so tasty fresh from the garden, even with a little bit of that organic soil on there. So what I did was we had to go into town last week because we had an appointment to get a recall, an airbag replaced on our car. And so while we were in town, because you know we're 75 miles away from the nearest Costco, and that's minimum. It might be farther than that. And so we don't get in there very often. We try, sometimes it's cheaper for us just to shop local or to shop online. However, since we're in there anyway, we like to hit the coastal. I stock up on my chicken feed. And then we also obviously go to Costco and stock up on the things that we can get for a better price than there, or we simply can't get here. And so what I decided to do this time is, instead of just buying the one big bag of carrots to work through, I went ahead and bought 2 of the 6-pound bags because it's a really good price on their organic carrots. At the time, at least I'm shooting this video, and usually Costco's prices tend to stay pretty consistent for a while. It was $4.45 for a 6-pound bag of organic carrots. And so I went ahead and bought 2 of those bags so that I could go ahead and can some up. So I ended up just doing one run. I like to get as many jars in my canner as I can, and so I did 16 pints of the organic of the carrots, and then had enough raw ones left over that I can use for stir fries, for snacking on raw, or whatever I want to do. Thinking about getting back into my kimchi making soon, and it might be carrots, red cabbage, and onions and garlic for that one, and of course lots of red pepper. So I might use some of those for that. When it comes to canning things, there's a few reasons why I did this. One was so that I could free up some canning time later in the year when I'm actually canning things directly from my garden. And also, I can now not worry about even trying to go grow carrots this year. I'm just going to take a break from it and focus on some other things, like getting a good organic non-GMO sweet corn. Never tried that yet, and I think it would be really nice to grow some. So that's where I'm going to dedicate a good chunk of space to, where I'd normally grow carrots. I'm going to expand that into the corn. But I also have some canned carrots put up, as well as the dehydrated carrots that I get from Mother Earth products. Now, all I did was I peeled the carrots. The chickens love those carrot peels, so I threw them to them. I chopped them up, put them in the jars. I like to use a little bit, just a little bit, because it's salty salt, and that is the Celtic sea salt, the gray kind. And so I'll just put in maybe a half a teaspoon in each one of these jars, and then top it off with rainwater. Put my heated Tatler lids on there. Put that band on, just, you know, don't put it on tight. I have a video showing you how to properly put these on, but the newer Tatler lids are a little bit different. So if you're getting the ones that say Easy Seal, there is a little bit different process, but I've got this one down. I like the older lids better now because of it. Then I process the jars in the pressure canner for 75 minutes for pints. If I was doing quarts, I would go 90 minutes on that. 10 pounds of pressure for where we're at, because we're at about the 2,000 level, feet above sea level. So if you like canned carrots, they're one of the easiest things to can. The peeling and the chopping is the hardest part. And I don't like to make things fancy when it comes to my canned foods. I like to keep them very simple. Some people like to fancy it up and put all kinds of other stuff in there, and that's great. But I like to keep the things that I can fairly simple so that I will have multiple uses for them. Okay, then the next thing is I've been watching vanilla prices. Even though I'm still pretty well stocked on vanilla, this is the jar I've been working on, and you can see it's getting a little thin. It still has a lot of vanilla beans in it, and I still have another full jar. Now these are vanilla beans I stocked up on back in 2014 and 2015, back before the prices skyrocketed on the vanilla beans. I'm noticing that they're starting to come back down. I'm hoping they'll continue to drop, but I thought I'd start to take advantage of it now. And so I got these ones. There's 25 beans in here. Usually 25 beans is pretty close to about a quarter pound of vanilla beans, which is how I was buying them before. And these aren't organic, but honestly, I don't think when it comes to vanilla beans, it's as much of a concern for it to be organic, especially when you're looking at the price. So this was the best price I've seen so far. I did get these on Amazon through the subscribe and save. I haven't opened them yet, as you can see, but they feel very soft. But we'll find out when I open them, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to start another jar, and I'll start getting this jar filled up with beans a little at a time. And going through the subscribe and save, I can get one package a month. But with the way things are going with food right now, remember today that I'm shooting this is actually March 10th. So by the time you're seeing this, I don't know how different things could be in a month. Things may have changed quite a bit, but I will go ahead and link to these down below, and hopefully they'll still be available, and hopefully I'll still be able to keep getting them on subscribe and save. But you can check it out, but don't just get those because I said right now it's the best price. Do a little shopping around. Sometimes you can go to eBay and find vanilla beans for an even better price. It comes and goes. I've bought vanilla beans on eBay before for a better price, but the best ones I could find on there when I ordered these from Amazon were still more expensive than these, especially when you go through subscribe and save, and you can save up to 15%. Now I don't remember if I actually saved 15% on these, because their items vary. It depends on what it is. It's 5, 10, or 15%, but either way, this still came out to be a better deal. So what I'm going to do is I'll just show you how I pack these up, especially if you're new, you might not know how I do this. So we'll go ahead and open these up. Let's see if we can, oh, these are vacuum packed in here really well. They smell really good. They have a really nice smell. I think these will be good. They feel soft. They're a little bit moist. They're not dried out. Sometimes you'll hear about people getting vanilla beans that are really dried out, and they were pretty displeased with them. But when you pull this out of the package here, whoops. Oh, by the way, I paid $35 for this. So that wasn't that much more than what I was paying before when I was stocking up before. Because when I was stocking up before, it was right around $30. So still, it's only $5 more. But when I had tried to get some more, like a year or so later, they had went up in price to $60 and then $90 for the same amount, and then $120. So now they're coming back down. So $35 for about the same amount of vanilla beans I was getting before. So I just gotta drop those in my jar like this. Grab a clean and previously used canning jar, put my food saver top on. Now, if you have a food saver, you can use your food saver for this. I've gone through 4 or 5 of them, and I'm tired of them because they break down every 2 years. So I use my brake bleeder all the time now. It's cheaper. I've had it for years. I've never had to replace it. And even if I did, it's still a quarter of the price of buying a new food saver. So anyway, I stick the tip in there, and then I pump this up to where it's PSI 15. If your gauge is a little off, which can happen with use, then just check where it's at and then go past that by however many points it starts out. So mine, I noticed, has gone a little wonky. So I like to go up to at least 18 or more to make sure I get a good seal on that. Okay, and there we go. Now you can see I still have a little bit of permanent marker on there from the last time, whatever I had on there. Spray a little isopropyl alcohol on and wipe it off with a clean, dry cloth. And now it's sealed and ready to go into storage. And so then what I'll do is I'll keep this out to where I can find it easily enough until I've got this thing filled up. I believe I can put in 3 to 4 more of those packs of vanilla beans. So it might take me a while to fill up the jar. And then once I do that, I will put it in the back behind all the older vanilla beans. Now, you're thinking, well, you already got it sealed up. How are you going to do that? You just carefully open the jar with your regular opener like this and making sure not to bend the lid, and then add the vanilla beans, then vacuum seal it back up again. That's how I did it before when I was stocking up with these. In fact, that's how I do it every time now that I'm working through this one and I need to go and I want to go start another batch of vanilla extract. I take out the beans I need and then I vacuum seal it again. And so they stay fresh in there. I've had no issues. And again, I've had them in there 5 years now. Okay, then tonight for dinner, I decided I'm going to go ahead and make some chicken fettuccine. I've got some leftover chicken that I roasted on the wood stove the other day. I've already made a few other dinners out of it. One of them being my normal tamale pie. I can show you a picture of my regular tamale pie here, but I didn't think to take any pictures of this one. The one I made was a chicken tamale pie. The one I usually make is beef, but Pat had the idea that why don't we try making a chicken tamale pie, because tamale pie is one of his favorite things. So anyway, I did that with the leftover chicken and it actually lasted us several nights. And we topped it off with some of my homemade salsa verde from my own garden, from my own tomatillos, and boy, that's good stuff. So anyway, if you're interested in my tamale pie recipe, I'll go ahead and link to that down below. So anyway, I still have enough chicken left on that chicken carcass that I want to make another dinner before I turn the rest into a soup and chicken broth. So tonight I'm going to go ahead and make the chicken fettuccine, and I decided, since I still have a lot of zucchini from 2019, from last summer, frozen up, because this is how I do it now. And then once it's all thawed, it's still kind of frozen in there, what I'll do is strain off some of the excess liquid that it's going to have, because it will have some liquid in there, and I'm going to put a little bit of butter in a pan and then just kind of bake it lightly on our wood stove as a side green. So I love having my zucchini put up this way, because zucchini is not something that usually cans very well, but it does freeze quite nicely. It still gets a little bit mushy, but usually you're going to cook it anyway. And speaking of frozen things, you can tell this is an older bag because, well, this is from 2018. That was a year that I was done with the food saver. I did manage to get several bags to freeze up fine and seal up good, but I'm looking at this and I can see I had to do it twice. I see it's got 2 seals on it, but at least it stayed sealed. But after that year, I said, I'm done dealing with the plastic and I'm done dealing with the food saver. So anyway, these are my blueberries from our own blueberry shrubs that I keep in pots on our deck. And if you're interested in that, I have an old video. I'll probably do an update video this year and on that and how I care for them in the pots. But you can go check out that old video. I'll make sure to link to it down below. So anyway, I'm working through the 2018. I finally got through the 2017 blueberries, so now I'm working through the 2018 ones. And then all the ones we got from 2019, I did like I did here with the rhubarb. So I've always done this with rhubarb because I usually plan on using it right away. But I had a lot of rhubarb coming in this last year, so I just put a lot in jars. So what I'm doing with this is, Patrick, he really likes the creamsicles I made for him. I just had made him 2, when we went to Costco, I always buy a couple of big bunches of bananas. And so what I did right away was I made him 2 batches of chocolate banana coconut creamsicles. And you know, those are one of his favorites. But I do like to keep it mixed up, and I'm trying to work through the rhubarb and the blueberries. And so I'm gonna be making him another batch of rhubarb blueberry creamsicles with that. So that's why those are thawing out. So I'm gonna, when I'm done with this video, I gotta put all this stuff back in by the wood stove so it can finish thawing out. I'm going to start another batch, yet another batch of my Brazil and hazelnut milk. And yes, I make all kinds of nut milk. Lately, some of you probably getting tired of hearing it, but lately my favorite has been the Brazil and hazelnut. Now, while I'm talking about this, I did find that the same brand that I got the organic hazelnuts from, These are organic too, but they're a different brand. Well, the same brand that sells these sells their Brazil nuts in a big bag. And I haven't gone that route for a while because Brazil nuts are the only nuts I have found that will go rancid in food storage if you leave them past a few months, even if they're vacuum sealed in jars. All the other ones do fine vacuum sealed in jars. This one's not vacuum sealed because I'm working through it. So if I'm working through it, I don't even bother with it. But yeah, I recently opened this one for the last batch that I made. So that's what I'm doing here. But anyway, I bought a big bag and I just got it in yesterday. And yes, it's expensive for an 8-pound bag, but the price per pound for organic shelled Brazil nuts was still the best I've seen. Plus I got it through Subscribe and Save, so I was able to save even more. So that was great. I'm really liking that brand. It's called Food to Live, I think is the brand name. So they have a lot of organic nuts and various things. And most of their stuff is available through Subscribe and Save on Amazon, so you can save even more. I just took the whole bag as is, and I went ahead and just tossed it in the freezer for now. What I'll be doing is taking them out and putting them in their own separate canning jars like this, and then putting them back in the freezer. So I just tossed it in there for now because things have been crazy busy. And then the jar that I'm currently working through is this jar. So once these are done for my last batch, I'll go ahead and top this off, and then just keep the rest of them in the freezer so I don't have to go worry about them going rancid. But I can work through these in a short enough period of time that I don't have to worry about them going rancid. So I'm going to get this started, and though I have several videos on how to make your own nut milk of all different kinds, and I'll link to one of them below, I'll go ahead and show you how I at least get started. This batch here, I usually shoot for making at least a pint. And if you're making a quart of nut milk, you want about 1 cup of nuts total. So I'm not really going for a full cup. I'm going for at least a 1/2 to a 3/4 cup of nuts. And I like to make it about a 1-to-1 ratio of the pecans to the the Brazil nuts to the hazelnuts. I do also really like pecan cashew milk. That's another of my favorites. And so I got that in there. I take my filtered rainwater, whatever good, clean, healthy water you got is good. This is what we use because it's the healthiest we can get here. We don't do tap water. We don't ingest our tap water around here because it's full of chlorine and fluoride. Okay, so I've got them soaking. And I just seal that up, and then I'm going to leave them for 24 hours and let them soak. And then what I'll do tomorrow, after it's set for 24 hours, I will strain them out. I will rinse them off and then let them drain for a little bit. I'll put them in my blender along with some water, maybe throw in a date or two. And then I'll, just to give it a little bit of sweet flavor because of the way I've been using this. And then I like to use it in my coffee in the morning. It's been my very favorite one. Anyway, to each their own. Keep kind of experimenting with your own blends to see what you like best. I know Melanie from Road to the Farm, one of her favorite blends is the almond, pecans, and cashews, I think it was, all together. And I don't remember if I've tried that, but I did try a 5-nut blend, and it was good, but it still wasn't as good to me as the Brazil and hazelnut put together. And then I like plain almond milk, and then Brazil and cashew nut is good. And then I also make coconut milk. That's another really good one, and I even have a video on that if you're interested. Now, one video that that should have fairly recently come out was one I did on what I do with the nut pulp and how I turn it into a nut flour for use in various other things. And so I will link to that video down below. And then I also have a video on how I make my own homemade vegan cheese with the nut pulp from the pecan cashew blend. That one makes a really great vegan cheese because the consistency of it is very different than what you'd get, of the pulp is very different than what you'd get from a blend like this or from almond. Almond is the one that is the most, it breaks up the easiest and it makes the best flour. But this one does make a pretty good flour, and it's very tasty, added in various things. But I have experimented and tried to use it completely in a few other things. Some things were successful and some things were not, and I do talk about that in that video if you'd like to check it out, especially if you're gluten-free or simply just trying to cut back on the amount of grains that you're using, or just trying to find a way to use up your pulp from your nuts when you make your own nut milk, which, by the way, turns out to be a lot cheaper than what you can buy at the store without all their additives. Plus, when you figure in the flour that you can get from it, or the cheese for that matter, then you're getting an even better deal. Oh yeah, and then here's the noodles. I know these aren't fettuccine noodles, but these are the ones I'm going to use tonight with the fettuccine sauce, because I'm finally down to the last bag of the noodles I had stocked up on like 5 or 6 years ago. Like seriously. And look, still in the package, still good. Noodles, you can put them and vacuum seal them in jars if you want. That's a great idea. I don't bother because jars are precious, and noodles keep very well in their own packages without the need to repackage for years and years, literally. So these are still good. I'm just finally getting to the bottom of it, and I'm finally getting that last package. And then all the rest of the noodles I have in there are ones I've been getting from Costco, because Costco does carry a pretty good brand. It's organic, they're made in Italy, which I prefer, and you get a really good price for being organic noodles. Way better price than what I was getting on these. Though I like the flavor of these just a little bit better. I save so much more money on the Costco ones. So you can get, by the way, if you're like us and you don't live next to a Costco, you can get their organic pasta. That's one of the things they do carry on their online store, and you can have it delivered to you. So, and it's one of those things where if you do the 2-day shipping and you select, you get enough in your cart. I think it's $75 as long as you have at least $75 in your cart, and when you go to place the order of the 2-day shipping items, you can get free shipping. And most of the items are pretty close to the same price they are in the physical store. So the things that aren't like the coconut oil is more expensive online, dog food is way more expensive online, we'll buy that in the Costco in town instead of from the online store. So we'll save those things to stock up on when we have the opportunity to get in there. And we usually try to make it a trip where we're getting a bunch of different stuff done at the same time. Okay, then the last thing I was going to talk about was the tea. I got to fill up my tea container out here again for the mint tea. We've been going through it a lot. So some of you might have seen the video I did a while back on natural antivirals and the tea that I like to make. I've been trying to switch it up for 2 reasons. One, so we do not get tired of drinking the same tea every night, but we both just adore peppermint tea. I like them both equally, but Patrick likes the peppermint tea best. He'll drink the other one because he knows it's good for him, but he'll do, this is his favorite as well. And so what I do is each night I switch off between that spicy one with the anise, or with a star anise. When I say star anise, I always want to say star anise, but then I'll call the other one anise hyssop. I'm not consistent. I realize that. It's kind of crazy, but whatever. It just sounds wrong when I say it the other way. So anyway, that one, and then the other spices and herbs that I put in there. So I recommend you check out that video, especially if you're looking for some good options for a good antiviral tea that you can drink on a daily basis. But keeping it mixed up too, I think is really a good idea. Switching back and forth. Maybe one night just make an elderberry tea, and then the next night make the spicy tea, and the next night make peppermint. Peppermint is actually also an antiviral, though I don't think it's quite as powerful as some other ones, but it has been proven to be effective against certain viruses. So, I still think we're doing good by switching it up. And also, we do keep eating our oranges on a daily basis. Now, since these oranges are not organic, we haven't been able to find any organic oranges lately, locally, just haven't. So we've been getting these ones that are not organic. So when it's that case, instead of dehydrating up the peels to use in food, I use the peels in, because the orange inside is fairly safe. You don't have to worry about it. It's the peel you don't want to use on non-organic oranges. So I've been using those to make my cleaning vinegar. And right now you only see one out here because now I've been having enough going that I've had to transfer some into my normal vinegar making area in the other room. But I keep this one in here because it's the one I keep adding the orange peels to. So yes, this becomes my cleaning vinegar that I use for everything that we're not going to use in food. So I'll use it in the laundry, I'll use it to clean the countertops, I'll use it to spray down the refrigerator, whatever. It's my cleaning vinegar. I keep it in a spray bottle, as you can see right here. And then all my other vinegars that I make for eating are made out of organic foods or herbs that come from my garden, and they all have their various different uses. And I have a video on the many uses for homemade vinegar that I will also link down below. Now, by the way, if I say I'm going to link a video down below and you go to look for it, sometimes I simply just forget because I'm trying to get all these links in there. Just remind me in a comment below and I'll make sure that I get that in there. It happens, especially when I'm trying to get all the various things. I'm going to put the vanilla beans in there. I'm going to put a link to this and a link to that, and sometimes things just get overlooked. And if you're not sure what I mean by down below, you have to actually click on the words down below the video itself that say show more. Or if you're on a smart device, a little bit off to the right and below the video, you might see a little gray arrow that's pointing down. Click on that and that will open up the description box, and you can find all our contact information, our affiliate links to the different things we're talking about, video links, or whatever else it is that I mention in the video. Unless of course I forget, and then I need to be reminded. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed my this and that for the week. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.